here, it's SPY's going to dump more. We're not done dumping yet. The market is not done dumping. So if you're um, planning to buy the dip, it's not time yet. Like I said on Friday, I'm expecting another big dump for SPY. And then after this month, because historically, April is historically a really a bullish month. So thinking that in about a week or two, we're going to get another dump, and then it'll be time to buy the dip then. And that's all I have currently. I'm sorry, I was busy and was eating breakfast at the time, so I wasn't
No,
ready.
you're good. You're all good. No worries at all. Okay. Well, thank you, Honeydew. Okay, so at this point, we're kind of just going to make the transition to the next space. I was going to close this one and open another, but it didn't seem to make any sense as we ran past the starting time of the other one. For everyone that's on this panel, you might be interested in kind of part of this. Well, we did one of these about 2 weeks ago with Commander Cryptos in here, and we basically just talked about, I'm on the internet, all these other people are on the internet. How do I build a relationship with people on the internet, especially in times where I want them to perhaps market my product or collaborate with me on something or have synergies. This is becoming extremely prevalent, obviously in the NFT world and Web3 and a number of places, but people still seem to struggle heavily with this topic. So that's where we're kind of starting off with. To any of my current speakers, if you want to hang around on the panel, that's cool. Bitcoin Baddies, Taylor, I see you in the audience. If you want to come up, that's great. May just rotate people around, but the main people for this panel I want to give some speaking time to are going to be NFTs Anonymous, Commander, and Ashley. And then other people, if you want to raise your hands, we can kind of bring you in. But let's start it out. So Anon, Tyler, how are you doing? You able to speak?
Yeah, of course. Hey, how's it going? How's everyone doing today? Appreciate you having me for this relationships in Web3 conversation. It's what I've really been focused on here for over a year now, is just how to preserve the community, how to encourage better practices and better interactions amongst each other.
Sweet. So first off, welcome to it. Let's just welcome the other ones as well. Ashley, how's it going?
Hey, I'm great. Just kind of buying some NFTs and talking to people. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good. We've been live for about 3 hours straight now. So it's going pretty well. Seems like people were enjoying this and definitely doing good. So thanks for coming on. And Commander, how you doing?
Pretty good. Just rolling out of bed, but yeah, I've been really good, and I've been doing community building for quite some time now, well over, I want to say 10 years now, and I do have some insightful stuff to kind of share with people. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Commander, you kind of had reached out partially, definitely, your idea, wanted to run it back again. I'm curious, based on the last one, if there's specific topics you wanted to run it back with or touch on, or just, a specific area to start with, because I have a few ideas, but wanted to defer to you.
Sorry. Let's see.
Yeah, I can definitely.
Yeah, let me hear what your topics are.
Okay, so I think that there are a few. My main one that I wanted to talk about today was basically one that we started out with yesterday, which was, you find somebody, let's say on Twitter, because we're on Twitter, use this as the example, and you're like, that's somebody that I would love to work with, maybe collaborate with. Perhaps they host spaces, perhaps they do something else. I want to be able to build a relationship with them. This is day one. I just found them. What should I do and what should I not do is I think kind of the things that I wanted to touch on here. And I think we can go around. So maybe if you want to give we can start there. If you want Tyler to weigh in as well, we can have him start and kind of go from there. But that was one of the first things that I wanted to touch on because I feel like that's a super applicable topic to every niche area of Twitter.
Yeah, we'll start off with what you shouldn't do. Hassling them in DMs, that's what you should not do. Every now and then I'll get a bunch of DMs of, let's say, projects or whatnot, or that are trying to get me to promote them or whatever. Without a relationship established, never do that, because what you're just going to do is you're just going to turn them off immediately to the idea of working with you. Now, if you're trying to work with someone, let's say it's an influencer, or just you're trying to collaborate with another artist or a musician or whatnot, The best thing for you to do is just get on these spaces, and if you see them up here in these panels, then yeah, try to start some sort of conversation. Try to find something relatable that you both like. Uh, so if you see that one person is really into skiing and you're also really into skiing, try to find that common ground in conversation without being disruptive in the conversation in the current conversation that is going on. I find that if you do that, uh, it will actually help establish a connection very, very quickly just by finding some sort of relatable ground.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's a good way to start out with. All right, Tyler, I will turn it over to you. And again, to my stock speakers, I know this is a bit of a different space and a conversion over. It just seemed easiest to keep this going. If anybody does need to dip out, feel free to just wave or peace sign. I don't want anyone to feel like they're interrupting or anything like that. If you want to stay on, you're obviously welcome to stay on. And after some of the main speakers have spoken, if you want to input, that's fine as well. I do think that this is going to be beneficial information as we continue to dig into it. All right. What are you thinking, Tyler, on this topic of what to do and what not to do when first establishing contact?
Yeah, of course. So your network is your net worth, and we've said that in these spaces before. So you really have to focus on integrity, focus on it being a mutually valuable connection, and kind of having an approach for what it is that you're able to offer, whether it's your time, whether it is your experience, a skill set, what have you, and just present that to others in a really genuine fashion. That's how you make real, like, sustainable connections in this space. So early on in my journey last year, I would just get involved with communities that I was already minting into the project because I was genuinely interested. Like, it was just already, even before I made relationships with founders, with teams, anything like that, if there was something that I was genuinely attracted to and I'm going to mint it, then I don't know. I feel like in Web3, I have the opportunity, not the obligation, but the opportunity to get more involved, to show that I care, to show that, like, I'm here for the long run and that I want to help this project succeed. I did that at least a dozen times really early on in the space when it was first starting to boom last year. And it led to just countless connections, whether it be the founders of those communities or other people in those communities, just seeing your actions, seeing your authenticity and responding to it, wanting to gravitate towards that. So I think what it really comes down to in Web3 is all those, like, personal development skills that we learned, the books like The Secret, The Four Agreements, Law of Attraction, things like that. There's actual validity to those types of characteristics, that type of approach in the Web3 space. Whereas in the external world, in the traditional sense, a lot of times that can be taken advantage of, it can be dismissed, underappreciated, what have you. I'm not saying that doesn't happen here, but there are a lot more forward thinking people here that do want to find that common ground, do want to support, like, the greater good of the space, because it is so small, and many of us realize the only way that this is going to scale is if we're doing right by each other and establishing a really secure, solid foundation. And so I'm always looking to connect with people that are on that similar wave, that understand this is bigger than us. It's bigger than just a short-term financial opportunity. We are really, as I said before, setting the foundation, setting the framework for what hopefully is an emerging, like, new sector of the economy, a brand new industry for people to have opportunities and hopefully, change their lives.
Love it. Very well put. And Ashley, over to yourself, especially I'm sure a lot of people reach out to you in the DMs, many of them wanting to connect with you, whether it's for collaboration, promotion, things like that. What have been some of the more effective ways that people have tried to build relationships, and what really doesn't work?
Thank you. Yeah. So of course I get hundreds of DMs, not always appropriate ones, but the ones that actually want to connect, something that I never do and what I tell people all the time, regardless of who it is, Don't be mean or just like dismissive of people. Um, a lot of people tend to look at follower count or, like certain things about the account before engaging. So regardless of who it is, even if you're not interested in working with them directly, always be nice, because you never know whenever, they have, something like some kind of connection with somebody else that you might want to connect in the future. And if you know, treat people terribly, then they're going to tell anyone they know. And also, never make yourself too important for anything, which is kind of the same thing, but, basically like, Web3 is so new, building any connection at all is just, good in itself. Um, Another thing that, whenever you're looking at projects to support, you need to really look at the people that are involved in the project. I mean, that's pretty an obvious one, but what you want to do is see who they are connected with as well. Like if you see NFT projects with people that aren't trustworthy, or people generally that aren't trustworthy in the space, like, you're looking around and you see that these people are involved in, constant controversy or, not associating themselves with good projects. That's something that you always want to look into, because no matter, what it is, whether it's just a small project or a big project, whether you're taking, actual, money, or you're just supporting them like for free or whatever it may be, you want to be sure that not only they are, but everyone around them are people that are trustworthy in the space. Um, Joining communities can help you kind of get a hold of who you can and cannot trust. Trust is like a big thing in the space, because once you lose trust with people in the space, it's kind of over for you. So, doing your due diligence is so underrated. I feel like a lot of people just kind of ape into things or do things because of the follower count or, hype or whatever, but everything can be, you just want to assume that everything can be bought. You know, Everything is, none of that really matters. It's all about quality versus anything else. So that's kind of my main, thing that I, do in building my relationships.
Really well said. Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about, I feel like that initial connection many times can be very, very potent and difficult to change once people have that idea of who you are and what you want from them, essentially. Okay, we got a couple more up here. Taylor, you joined in. Do you want to kind of weigh in on this first topic?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, good afternoon. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I build my connections mostly through Twitter Spaces. I love running Twitter Spaces. I feel like I build a lot of my connections and networking through that. Um, of course, I get DMs. I also get DMs daily, but I feel like in this community, you can't just promote any project, especially with what's been getting released. As of lately, it's been a lot of rugs, cash grabs. Got to really scout them out, do your research, ask the project certain questions to, fill it out a bit, get connected with the Discord. Like Ashley said, see who's related to the project, who's co-signing it, stuff like that. Like you really have to do a lot of research in this community nowadays, just in general, because it's just a lot of scams going on. But yeah, I like hosting my own Twitter spaces, so I'm always um just connecting with people through that. But I also want to start going to in real life events, because I feel like that's important to actually, socialize with people in person as well, not just over the internet. So I feel like it's important to go to those and connect through that as well. So yeah.
How
Thank you for having me, Wolf, as well. Like, you always host the best spaces. So
Well, thank you for the kind words. I want to focus in on what you said real quick there on spaces. When you're networking over spaces, what's the way that someone can get your attention in a positive way over spaces, in a way that makes you want to then perhaps take that conversation to the DMs or, continue it?
I mean, I just like when people come up with positive energy overall. Like, tell me a little bit about yourself. I can't stand people with negative off vibes. Like, we have enough of that in this world. I just really like to connect with people through vibes, through good energy. And yeah, I mean, my DMs are always open. Like, I always interact with my followers or people that just genuinely want to get to know me. But I mean, just have good vibes overall. Just come up with good energy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The overall energy can make sense. Okay, I see we have a couple more, but I see a hand up. Commander, what's up?
Yeah, and I want to touch back on networking. Um, let's say there's someone that you guys like, someone that you really want to get in touch with, but they are what you would consider an untouchable, right? Let's say they are up there with like PewDiePie or something like that. There's this theory called the 6 degrees of separation, or the six handshake rule, that is, in my opinion, a very real thing. Where, let's say, I talk to NFT Anonymous and I say, hey, Tyler, I want to meet PewDiePie. Is there any way, do you know anyone that can possibly get me in touch with them? Well, they'll be like, oh, I think I know this one person that probably could that knows their publicist or something, right? All right, cool. They would get me in touch with that person. That person would get me in touch with their publicist, and that person would get me in touch with someone else until I um, uh, get in front of PewDiePie. And now the reason I bring this up is because I've used this many, many times when I want to get in front of, certain people. I did this with uh, some big names in other industries, and it's important to use your network to get certain places. Also, this is why your network is your net worth. This is why people say that, because this opens up doors to new possibilities, right? So I appreciate what Tyler said earlier, and I wanted to just kind of expand upon that by talking about the 6 degrees of separation. You guys should all look this up, um, and utilize this theory to kind of get to where you need to go. So, like, let's say you want to talk to Voltura or whatever. Voltura is one of those people that a lot of people would consider to be the untouchable. All right, cool. Utilize your network to get there, because there's always going to be someone in your network that can lead you to that possible need. Your friend of a friend might be homies with their sister that is in their inner circle. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely you got to work through it. I think that's something which I'm going to elaborate on after we get to a couple more people. Spicy, you requested to come up. Did you want to add to the convo?
Definitely. Before I go on, I just want to show my appreciation for you, Wolf, and NFTs Anonymous. I've learned so much about investing and crypto and NFTs, and you guys are a very trusted source. So I'm very grateful for you guys just giving your time and just helping the community and being a very trustworthy and honest and transparent with all of us. So my respects to you guys. Secondly, yeah, I just got into Twitter Spaces maybe like a month ago, and shit's been blowing up for me. And I just have a question. How do you guys handle like negative comments, or just like when I have spaces, it gets a little crazy and then I have to kick people off. They're mad at me. So how do you guys deal with like growing very quickly, but also dealing with like the negative side of it?
Ashley, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, unfortunately, the more you grow, people are just going to naturally be negative because a lot of the time it's jealousy or, like it's just people that are, some people just join spaces for clout. Like literally they just join spaces because they're like, I'm gonna gain followers if I just sit here, you know. And it's crappy because a lot of those people, they will not even say anything, so they'll just be sitting here wasting space. So you know, all you have to do, like, honestly, I just block a lot of people now. Fuck those people, man. But seriously, it's just people are always going to be mean. Like, just like the more followers you get, just keep expecting that, but just don't lose yourself. Like, be authentic. That's all you can do.
Yeah, I'll echo that for sure. There's a lot of people on the internet who are just here to fuck around, and I'll pretty quickly block them if that's just like the obvious case, right? If they're just coming to say something negative, or they're basically just making a negative point with no sustenance or basis, it's an easy block. I don't need to deal with that. There's tens of thousands of people on the internet that do want to interact with us. That's fine for me. One person doesn't bother me. Especially because typically they're like not even following you and they're just like talking shit. So it's like, well, why are you even seeing my timeline? Like, why are you here? And then number two on that, sometimes they make a good point, right? Sometimes I think it can come off to us. It's hard to understand through text always, whether somebody is actually trying to be constructive or trying to give decent feedback. So I'll say, take a second to like look at it, right? See if, hey, maybe they're actually making any decent points. Maybe there's something I can adjust. I have deleted posts in the past because I posted something and then someone made a point about it, like, oh, that's incorrect, or you need to do the research into this. And I go back and double check and I go, you know what? Okay, they're right in this case. That has happened as well. Or I'll make a comment underneath their comment, right, saying thank you for this insight, whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be bad, but I think there's a fine line because a lot of people are just trying to fuck around. And for them, right, like for me, this is my whole life. This is my whole job and everything. I spend 40 to 60 hours a week on Twitter. It's my income, it's my connections, it's everything. But for a lot of people, that's not what it is. It's just a way to kind of escape the real world with them, right? So they go to work, they have 40-hour week at work. Maybe their job was shit that week and they come back to just say, oh, okay, I'm just going to go online and just like mess around, right? It doesn't matter to them. They're not trying to build a reputation or trying to build something. So I think you just have to be able to decipher the difference between those and then react to them accordingly, right? So sometimes a block, sometimes just a complete response, and sometimes you just ignore them because sometimes you don't want to block people. Maybe they are someone who interacts with you or follows you or something like that. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, Wolf,
Yeah.
just to echo that, I'll add one thing. I was talking about this yesterday. The Twitter community, the discords of people who are actually consistent and not just joining off of, an Instagram or a TikTok advertisement or something. It's probably around 50,000 people that are actively circling daily as part of the social media Web3 culture. That's so insignificant. And the number of them that are unfortunately not promoting the best practices in the space, not having the right mindset that is going to be sustainable and is going to encourage more people to adopt to this technology. It's unfortunate, but it's the current nature of the situation. We have to accept it, choose to circumvent it, right? Like, I'm not going to get lost and distracted by others that are currently here that aren't doing the right things, because I know that they represent such a small fraction of what's to come in this space that I would rather focus on everyone that is putting out the right type of energy. And in addition to that, really focusing on encouraging new people into the space and guiding them of how we already like spaces like this, how we interact with each other, what type of values we present, and hopefully instilling that in others so we can start to flip the culture a little bit.
Wow, like that was so
Yeah.
true. Honestly, recently my block my block button's been real hot lately. I've been smashing that like a video game, but I think that's kind of what it should be. Just
Facts.
if people give you good vibes, you echo that. If people give you bad vibes, there's no need to go down that rabbit hole. Like we already know where that rabbit leads, you know? But I just want to talk about like yesterday I had a concert. Like a lot of times we focus on like the art in the community, so like I have so many talented friends that are singers, musicians, rappers, just all around very talented people. So I give them a spotlight every week on Sundays. It's a concert. Everybody comes and shows their talent. So if anybody has any talent, like they could sing or they could do something entertaining, hit me up. And Wolf, if you want to come through too, that'd be great.
Appreciate it. Yeah, feel free to shoot me over details.
And
All right, Commander, is your hand up? I couldn't tell.
Yeah. Spicy, and I can resonate with this topic a lot. So over the last 4 months, I have accumulated a pretty substantial following. I went from 2,000 followers all the way up to 18,000 followers organically, through just grinding really hard on these spaces and offering free marketing advice to anyone that comes my way. And this is how I did it, right? Now, in that time, I'm not the kind of person that goes around like looking for trouble or talking crap about people or whatever. But for some reason, I started accumulating some people that had some real interesting opinions. And there's a lot of snakes in the grass, man. And sometimes you have to use the right lawnmower to get rid of them. But in my experience, man, I decided to just kind of let them do their own thing, and they self-imploded because no one was willing to listen to them. There was a couple individuals, as a matter of fact, that I brought up that I kind of like, I thought they were like my best friends on this in this community, and then they started trying to basically kind of like siphon out this group that I started a long time ago with like 50 to 60 very, very talented people. And they try to kind of basically top 10 anime biggest betrayals happened. And they really tried to basically screw me over. And what was funny is that because I did nothing, and everyone just kind of saw what was going on, they didn't really pay any mind to this person. And sometimes it's just better to not do anything, bro, because sometimes their actions speak way louder than you actually saying something. So it's honestly just go ahead and block them. Don't pay any mind to these people that kind of backstab you, because they can honestly use this kind of stuff against you if you kind of try and clap back at them. So especially in this kind of space where your reputation is everything. And I mean, it is absolutely everything. The moment you screw people over, your reputation is done for. It's gone, just like Ashley was saying. And we've seen this a lot in this space recently with influencers fucking people over with, look at people like, I don't know, I'm not like Ty Lopez, right? Nobody wants him in the space because of what he did back in 2016 with all the dumb shit that he was doing then. He's already ruined his reputation in this community for the most part. And then, yeah, so I mean, just if you start seeing a bunch of people trying to screw you over or whatever, bro, just don't pay any mind to it, honestly. And I really hope that you're very, I love the fact that you're very trigger happy with that block button, because it's needed sometimes.
Good stuff. Okay, we got a few more people that brought up. Want to give them a chance to speak. NFT CEO, did you want to throw something to the conversation or have a question?
Honestly, yeah, I was just kind of listening in. Commander invited me up to speak, so I'll probably just hang out for the next little bit and just kind of throw in my 2 cents if that's all good with you guys. I was just kind of hanging out and listening into the combo and seeing where things were going, but I got a pretty good feel for it now.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, Taylor EV the Dev, did you have a question?
Hey, I actually just came up here because Spicy, I'm actually mutuals with you, and I totally understand like where you're coming from as far as like, some people just not matching your vibe or straight up just giving off bad vibes, sometimes the bro culture around NFT is like really fun. It can be pretty fun, really hyped, but sometimes that's not what you want to be about. You really want to help the artist, really, put out some good stuff for people that can actually, be meaningful and profound for a long time. And it can kind of clash with the mainstream culture that you see around Web3 and NFTs. But I just wanted to reach out and say, not just to you, but to everybody, as far as the networking, I actually read a book. It's called the Proximity Principle by Ken Coleman. He's one of Dave Ramsey's friends, and I know they don't like NFTs, but that was like a really good book that changed my mindset about how sometimes as much of a bro or a friend that somebody can be, when it comes to who is really providing that good vibe for you that can add value to your life, you unfortunately have to get that block button ready. It's good. Your drinking buddies can't always be your roommates, right? So it's kind of the same vibe. Um, so I just wanted to reach out to everybody and not shilling, not plugging, not sponsored, but, suggest that book. And Spicy, personally, I have some new chill friends that aren't necessarily part of that culture. If you ever want to catch us in a space and hang out and, feel free, because I understand where you're coming from there. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And thanks for the space, guys. It's been pretty cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor.
Love your
What's up, Tyler?
feline.
Yeah, it's so cute, right?
So just to add to what Taylor said, one thing I really appreciate that she pointed out was that there's different areas to the community. And one of the more popular mantras of Web3, especially the past 6 months, has been WAGMI. We are all going to make it. And I think that needs to be adjusted a little bit, or that we need to kind of reframe how we think about that, because personally I don't subscribe to groupthink. I don't want the entire space going in exactly the same direction, because that's how you have, outliers and bad actors that are able to infiltrate that easier, because it's not as layered, because it's more linear, and they're able to unfortunately disrupt that culture, disrupt that, harmony. What I would prefer to see is, what Taylor's encouraging, which is that we see the community start to fragment, start to break off into sections, where you have people that are motivated by different interests, by different, shared visions of community and what they are driven by, right? So the way I think of it is almost like a casino, because at the end of the day, whether you want to admit it or not, if you're if you're supporting NFT projects and collections, then you you are participating in an element of gambling, of participating in speculation. So go back to the casino analogy. You have slot machines, you have, the poker tables, you have the roulette and video poker and whatever else, right? What I'm basically getting at is that a lot of the quote unquote degen energy in this space, the flipper energy, that's your slot machines. And yeah, you can hit it big there. I mean, it's possible, but it may not be your best course of action, as far as, again, creating more of a sustainable path in this space, creating a more sustainable bankroll at the casino, right? Like, it's not going to happen, generally speaking, from the slot machines. So there's always going to be people that play the slot machines, and many of us will kind of look at them funny, like, what are you doing? But hey, it's their choice. Like, and we can't stop that from happening. All we can do is, again, like I said before, circumvent the energy, choose to focus our attention elsewhere, in places that are going to be more sustainable, that are going to actually offer more tangible and intangible value, whether it be through the NFT project and the assets themselves, or some sort of feeling or connection that you have gained from the community. Because looking at a lot of these slot machine-esque degenerate trends, I think a lot of it's going to cannibalize itself. And I think back to things like multi-level marketing, like Herbalife. So my father was actually a top tier distributor with Herbalife, and part of the reason he walked away was not because he wasn't making money, it wasn't because he wasn't successful. He wasn't happy, because the culture, as he continued to climb up what really does reflect a pyramid, he noticed the changes. He noticed the social hierarchy. He noticed the inequalities that were being really promoted. and that it had this kind of like almost fraternity type of energy where people would be hazed and people would be criticized. And, it wasn't that happy-go-lucky environment that he thought he was getting into when he first came into it. I get a similar impression with a lot of people who are coming into NFTs for the first time. They're being shown a facade of community, and unfortunately they're getting wrapped up in the wrong projects that aren't sustainable, and then they're having bad first impressions. Whereas if we kind of readjust what it is that we are focused on, how to encourage a more sustainable community, what, again, the values, the principles, all these things that sound cliche but are actually really important in Web3, especially early on while we're still trying to get our footing. These are where I think we should be trying to focus our attention, is not on stopping the negative energy, the flippers, the people that are here for the wrong reasons, but just choosing, as others have been saying, block them, ignore them. Like, there's more people.
Yeah, great points all around. Okay, I see another hand up from Chris.
Hey, good morning. For me, at least, it's good morning. I'm not awake, but you guys are having an awesome conversation. I came in late, so I wanted to ask a question, and if it's been talked about, just let me know, and I can like zoom through the recording, I suppose. But I'm curious about everyone here, about your perspectives on balancing out, building relationships, building. And by the way, I like that you said building relationships, not community. That is a great, that's just great. I love that. But balancing building relationships, building in terms of networking, building relationships in terms of friendships, and building relationships in terms of buyers, because a lot of us are selling one-of-ones, or we're working with projects and we're on the team for a project and all that kind of stuff. So just how do you guys balance those three emotionally? Because they all get kind of interwoven sometimes. And kind of like what Commander was saying, when things get messy between friends, but you're also building something, but you're also trying to sell to people. What do you guys think about the balance between those three sort of spheres?
I have to hop in on this real quick. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
This is my biggest challenge right now. I really focused on networking for the past year, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I've talked to, either in DMs or on the phone, not just Twitter Spaces, not just on the timeline, probably thousands of people at this point. And a lot of those people, we consider each other friends, acquaintances. It's not just a peer or a friendly competitor. There's so many people I want to help, support. I want to endorse their projects. I want to market. I want to show them to my communities. And, through some good and bad experiences, I think I have a better grip on, how to vet a project, see what's sustainable, see what's, actually going to be a good experience, and have the right reputation, the right professional resources in place that they can follow through. With all that said, because currently I'd say I have approximately like 15 of them, all with like varying degrees of reputation, resources, docs team, what have you. I don't know. Like, I'm still trying to identify that model. I'm probably going to be putting other professional resources in place around me, because yes, I can do community, I can do networking, I can do the promotion, marketing, consulting, advising side of things. I'm not a business person. I don't have any administrative or executive experience or skill sets, at least not to the caliber or the capacity I think is necessary for where I'm at in this industry. But yeah, I definitely empathize with how do you maintain relationships, friendships, and further develop connections without letting people down, thinking that you have to be able to make yourself available for everyone and always put yourself last. So that's just my perspective.
Yeah. So with trying to put everyone else's needs first and putting your stuff last, and you trying to build all these relationships, and then people getting mad when you're not able to be there for them. Someone actually just DM'd me earlier today, this morning, about something just like that, which is kind of weird. But look, man, you don't owe anyone anything, right? Especially if there's no collaboration for something that's gonna gain you both money. Yes, it's great to be supportive of everyone. It's great to make all these friendships, but the moment that they start expecting it of you is when things get toxic, right? You should not let anyone expect anything of you in this space. If they're expecting you to come up every single night on a space or whatever, you know me, dude. Like if you ever decide, if you one day come up to me and you say, hey, I'm not looking, I don't want to show up to the space tonight because I want to go take a mental health break, right? Great, go for it, bro. I don't care. But there's people out there that take that shit like really personal for some reason, and it's weird, honestly. And those are the kind of people you honestly want to stay away from. Now, in this community, we're dealing with a lot of people that are very empathetic, and a lot of high emotions for various reasons. Musicians and artists are very emotional people, and then adding on the financial element is making things even more emotional. And then adding the clout element is making things even more emotional. So the best thing that I can say to you, and things that I have done, is literally just like, look, bro, I'll just tell them straight up. It's like, we're not business partners or anything like that. If you're gonna sit there and get mad at me over something like this while you're sitting there telling me that you're homies or whatever, there's no, what the hell are you doing? Like, I need to take a mental health break. I need to be able to balance my stuff. I need to be able to go and outside and smell a flower without worrying about your opinion.
Yeah, and just really quick, a follow up to that. Thank you, first of all, for both of you guys' thoughts on this. You're right, and I mean, Commander, dude, I go to your spaces, and sometimes I don't go to your spaces, and everything's fine. We both know everything is fine. You know what I mean? And I don't have to worry about like upsetting you if I'm not in one of your spaces one night. Like last night, I just was in the mood to be somewhere else, and so I was somewhere else, and it's all good. And another night I'll be in your space. It's honestly, it's all good, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to echo that's, I think, like, people who are just cool with you, no matter what, those are relationships to keep and sort of nurture, I suppose, versus people who are a little too high strung. Because another thing too is, like, with social media and like this pressure to build your following, it all gets merged together, gets murky, gets emotional, and man, like, I don't know if I have the energy to just, like, I'd rather be here because I like the people I'm around rather than I'm being here because if I'm not here for 24 hours, I'm gonna, people are gonna forget I exist and stuff. So yeah, anyway, just that, I'll stop talking. I need to drink some coffee. Thanks, guys.
Just my 2 cents on the whole like networking thing. I do agree that there is kind of like those three different realms, but I think that's more of a Web 2 versus a Web 3 thing. I remember with Web 2, like I had to go out networking with people, and like I had to take people out for lunch, and they weren't necessarily like people that were friends of mine. It was people I had to do networking with. In the Web 3 space with like Twitter space, like I kind of have the choice. I choose to hang out with, and I choose to network, and I choose to relationship build with the people that I want to build around and with the people that I want to be hanging out with. And so as an example, like Commander is somebody that I've gone out of my way to be like, hey, like, what do you got going on? Like, let's jump on a call. Let's connect. NFT's Anonymous. He's somebody where if I see he's hosting like a really small space, like I'll jump in there and try and bullshit with him a little bit. Like, it's about going out of your way to choose who you want to build those relationships with, who you want to network with, and then trying to then turn that into maybe like a business relationship down the road. But I think with like trying to separate them of like, hey, which ones do we focus on and how do we not let them get confused? I don't think there needs to be that. Like, I just think that you just don't need to network with the people that you don't vibe with, and you don't really need to work with those people. You can just choose that circle that you want to build and work with.
With everything you just said, just to add to that real quick, I'll give a perfect example. And I am going to say their name because they're doing everything right with how they're approaching their own opportunity in this space. And that's Andrew Forte. Andrew Forte has been reaching out to me a lot recently just asking for advice, just kind of talking about his philosophy, where his head is at, talking about some of his challenges. And he's not asking me for money. He's not asking me to, promote or endorse him or like, hey, like, let me on your team. Like, it's nothing like that. It's just a genuine, like, mutual connection of two people working on similar things, similar focuses in the space, coming together with like just mutually open energy for each other, wanting to support each other, see each other succeed. And it's unfortunate, but I'll admit I don't come across that many of those types of people anymore. I have a lot of them from my OG days back in this, such as a Commander Crypto. I mean, Wolf I actually met somewhat recently, so that's a good example. Same thing. Post just came up here. That's another. We've known each other for a few months now, but yeah, that's a really key thing to point out. Is are they just asking you for something? Are they just asking for your time or asking for an investment or, saying, hey, can you show this to your following because, clearly you have more followers than they do? That stuff is so superficial. It's so like surface level as far as the connection that could be formed. And I've learned through a lot of poor experiences last year where I was taken advantage of and I did give my time and energy to the wrong people, of how to kind of navigate that a little bit better and hopefully speak to it to others that they can relate from their own experiences of how to approach these situations, because there really are some great genuine people in this space looking to do incredible things and work together with others. And it's not about the ego, it's not about the wealth, it's not about the notoriety. It's about the substance of what they're actually developing together that can hopefully have a positive impact on the community as a whole.
You know what I love about my relationship with NFT Anonymous, or Tyler over here, is that him and me have been trying to do spaces for the last couple months now, and it never works out. It never fucking works out. 2 weeks ago, we were supposed to do one, and something very personal happened where I had to take a break for about a week off of everything, right? And it was the day of, I think, that we were supposed to host a space together, and I was like, hey bro, can't do this, gotta disappear for a week. Cool. And this is the way our relationship has been for a couple months now, and we don't trip. We don't trip about any of that. Like, we're just two dudes trying to do some good in the world, and trying to do good for this community, trying to do good for our friends and legitimate friends. And yeah, this is one of my biggest appreciations for this dude.
Awesome. All right, I want to come in here. A couple more people came up. I want to just say hi to them, give them a chance. Chad, what's going on?
Hello.
You want to weigh in on this? You've been doing a lot of this.
Yeah, I mean, I would say when it comes to building a really, really great network, I think you need to have some sort of end goal in mind with maybe how you want the relationship to go, but you also need to be basically weary that I think to build a strong and really key relationship that I think can benefit from or that you both can benefit from something, you need to almost give basically 1000x to get 1x. That's really what I've learned, is like you have to basically be willing to give a ton more, at least in the beginning, to really get anything back. And then it depends what kind of connection is, but at least in some of the stuff that I've been doing, you have to be really be willing to go the extra mile, because I think, especially in crypto and whether that's Web3 or not, you just have a lot of bad actors, I think, in general, that are just looking to really make the connection, either make it as much money as possible, quickly as possible, and then move on to the next person. And so I think really building something of value takes some time. And I think like a lot of people sometimes try to rush it, or it's more transactional, but you really have to be willing to I don't know, to really focus up and make sure that you're giving, I think, just a little bit more, if not a lot more than the other person is giving, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that. So what are ways that people can offer value on the initial intro? Because that's what I often wish people did more often, is I get a lot of DMs, and 90% of them are people that are asking for things, right? Oh, feature me on a space, or tweet about me, or do this or do that. And literally, I've never ever talked to them before in my life. don't recognize them at all, and they're coming in and asking, right? For
Yeah.
things which, like, they're just asking. They're not going to get a response. Like, just not going to happen. How can people come in and offer value instead of trying to take value off the bat?
Yeah, I think it's honestly it's pretty easy, or it's pretty cliche, but basically asking. Like, I think basically every single meeting I'm in, I try to either one of the first things, or at least before the call is done, is just try to make sure I'm asking the other person like how I can really help them. Maybe there's not really a way I can help them, but maybe there is, and at the same time, even if I can't help them, um, I'm not going to tell them that. I'm not going to be like, oh, I definitely can't do that for you. You know what I mean? It's more of like a, I don't know. Maybe it's maybe not so much a white lie, but it's really just leaving it open to maybe there is some sort of way in the future that you can help the person. It's just like, if they're like, hey, I need $1 million. I don't know. You probably don't want to just say like, hell no, I can't help you with that. But at the same time, it's pretty unrealistic. And so, like, I don't know. I just like to make sure that I'm asking the other person what they need. And usually they become even more open to talking to you in the future if you kind of approach them with that first. But basically, like I was saying a second ago, like, you have to make sure, or you're basically having to give more than you're getting in return, at least in the beginning, to really make I would say, a valuable connection.
Yeah, that's a really good point there, and glad you brought it up. Just asking people, right? Like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? I think is a super powerful way to go about it. Okay, I see my friend, the Bing Bong guy in the crowd. I want to bring him up, so I need to take someone down. So I'm just going to give real quick a minute to Taylor. It looks like you had a comment, and then I'm going to cycle some people.
Hey,
All right.
I can drop off too, by the way, because I've got an errand to run.
Okay, if you need to go, that works. You were a planned speaker, so I would keep you on stage for as long as you can stay here.
Oh yeah, I can stay till 12.
Okay, that works. All right, Taylor, did you have a comment there?
Yeah, and actually, this was my last time to speak because I'm actually going to lunch. But yeah, as far as I guess managing expectations and relationships and providing value, I find that the best way is simply to just be genuine. I know it sounds like very typical and cliche, but it's true. Like in my instance, I'm not a crypto genius. So when I'm looking to intentionally network with someone, I'll DM them and be like, hey, like, I really like your project. Is there any way I can help? I'm a coder. I know not a lot of people do that, but if you need a sexy website, let me know. Or even if you don't, I look to like intangible contributions. Like, I think of a lot of ideas. I almost like rattle them off like immediately as soon as I look at something. So, hey, if you ever need to bounce an idea off of me or just chat, like, feel free to hop in my DMs or tag me. Like, I'm always here. I work from home. I'm a coder, you know? So that's just being genuine like that and not really looking for like money or clout or followers or a retweet. Like, just really connecting with people where you feel something profoundly, you know, valuable. I think that's really just the way to do it. I don't like the networking culture. Um, so I think just being as real as possible is just the way to go about it.